As we grow into adulthood, our bodies become stronger, and our knowledge increases, and the only thing that seems to diminish is our imagination. To a child, the separation between reality and make-believe can be a very thin line. Some might say an imaginary line. Take little Alice. Her vivid imagination often made the make-believe seem real. Frighteningly real.
Yes, Sydney. Would you like some more tea? You're my best friend, too. What's that? Oh, dear. That's terrible,
My daughter Alice always seemed to be lost in a world of her own. An innocent, childlike world, or so I thought. It started like another typical day. Alice was playing make-believe, and I was entertaining our neighbor, Liz Kimball.
What's that? Oh, dear. That's terrible, Sydney.
Who's Alice talking to?
Oh, Sydney. It's an imaginary friend.
Ah. Well, she seems to be taking it very seriously. Aren't you concerned about that, Maggie?
Well, sometimes. But I had an imaginary friend when I was little. Doesn't Sally?
Well, yes, she had one, but she gave that up years ago.
Really? Well, Alice has always had an active imagination. It's nothing we're worried about. Alice, honey, time to get ready for ballet class.
Okay, Mom. Now, Sydney, I've got to go to dance class. You be good. I'll be back soon.
Look, Maggie, if you get concerned, I know a really good therapist.
Oh, well, thanks, Liz. I think it's just a phase Alice will grow out of.
Oh, you're probably right. I'm probably reading much more into this than there is.
I thought Liz was overreacting, but then Alice said something I'll never forget.
I'm very sorry, Mrs. Kimball.
About what, Alice?
About your divorce.
Alice, what have I told you about making up stories?
I'm not making it up. Sydney told me.
I'm so sorry, Liz.
Maggie, it's true.
I'd known Liz for 5 years. We'd shared everything. How could Alice have known when I didn't? I don't know, Diane. The slogan's just not working for me. I think we need to punch up the copy. Could you hold on a second, Diane?
Sure.
What is it, honey? Mommy's working.
Mommy, Miss Emery should check on Rebecca. She's really sick. She could die.
Alice, how many times do I have to tell you?
Mommy, Miss Emery has to check on Rebecca. It's really important. Sydney told me.
I need a minute with Alice.
Oh, well, what'd she say? Oh, no, Rebecca's fine. She's playing in her room. Oh, listen, don't worry about it. Just call me when you're finished. Great.
Diane couldn't help but check on Rebecca, and thank goodness she did.
Rebecca? Rebecca? Rebecca, sweetheart? Oh, my gosh, you're burning up.
Diane got her to the hospital just in time. This whole Sydney thing was making me very uncomfortable. So I decided to talk to Alice about it. Oh, honey, you are doing such a nice job. How come these don't have any icing on them?
Because Sydney doesn't like icing on his cookies.
Oh. Alice, I think we need to have a little talk about Sydney.
Why, Mommy?
Honey, because you're scaring people with your stories.
But, Mommy, they're all true. Sydney doesn't lie.
Alice, I don't want you to talk to Sydney anymore. Oh, you're getting to be such a big girl. Don't you think it's time that you stopped pretending Sydney was real?
But Mommy is real. Aren't you, Sydney?
No, honey, he's not real. No one else can see him.
He doesn't want anybody else to see him. Because he's my best friend.
I thought that Rebecca was your best friend.
Aunt Doris is dead.
Alice. Hello? Yes?
Sydney told me.
No.
Here you go, Sydney. I made this one especially for you. There's no icing.
I forbid Alice to ever play with Sydney again.
Aren't these good?
But every night I heard sounds coming from her room.
That's what Mom said. She doesn't want me playing with you anymore. I don't think it's fair either. No, she's not mean, Sydney. She's pretty nice. Of course I can keep a secret. Oh, Sydney, that's a great idea. You can stay in here. It'll be our secret. Of course, I'll never leave you. I love you, Sydney.
Was Alice really getting psychic messages from an imaginary friend? Or maybe she was a clairvoyant who was too young to understand her own powers, so she invented a friend to cope with it all. There must be some explanation for her ability to predict so many events. Or is our story of the imaginary friend completely imaginary? Cookies are real.
Was this story truth or falsehood? We'll tell you in the final moments of tonight's show. Next, a dream marriage turns into a nightmare on Beyond Belief, Fact or Fiction.